is, I'm sure everybody's been paying attention, to this, story that's been taking place for the last 3 days now about how, there was, I believe, what's this company named OceanGate or something like that. And what they do is, they have like a submersible, mini a submarine, right, a mini sub, where they can take a few people down to view the wreck of the Titanic, right? And I've known about this for a couple of years. Right? I've known about this. I've seen the video footage they have from certain of the explorations they've done. But what it is, for those that don't know, is you can pay a large sum of money, and they'll take you down on a miniature submarine to view the wreck of the Titanic. Right, it'll take you down for a couple hours. You'll drive you around, and there's like a massive glass window in front of the miniature sub that you can look through and see the wreckage. Very interesting and fascinating experience. Definitely. How much does it cost to do it? If you did a research, it's like $200,000 to $250,000 a person for a ticket to go on this trip. So going to the story, right? On Sunday, they had like crew of like 5 people, including one of these dudes on it is actually a guy who has like a couple world records, right, with going to like the Mariana Trench. And actually this one dude, I forget this guy's name, but he was last year. He went on the what's this guy, Jeff Bezos, so-called spaceship. Last year when they do that, I believe, what is it, the Blue Origin, right? But last year he went with him on that, and this year he was going on this tour of the Titanic, right? So he's down there. You have another dude who's like a billionaire down there. There's a couple other people. I don't have to name everyone, but um, in total, there's 5 people down there right now. So what happened was, as they were ascending downwards at the midway point, they lost all of their connection to the surface because there would be a ship above it they have contact with who could keep eyes on them to make sure they're not in any type of danger and know their location, and all of that, right? So something happened, and nobody knows exactly what happened, right? Nobody knows exactly what happened to these people. Some people believe the sub blew up because they totally lost connection with them. Um, some people believe they got caught on the wreckage of the Titanic, when they were trying to, maneuver around the wreckage, right? Um, but nobody knows, right? Nobody knows where these people are. Nobody knows if they're still alive. But the scary thing is again, this happened on Sunday, right? This situation happened on Sunday, and it's still going on even as I speak right now. But the scary part about it is for those people is they have like 20 hours, maybe 15 hours left of oxygen before it completely runs out. And that's scary, man. Imagine being at the bottom of the ocean with with no oxygen or very depleting, um, quickly depleting levels of oxygen to breathe and no way back up. That's scary, man. Like shit, say for example, right? If somebody asked you a question, like those riddles, right? You ever saw those riddles where you can you have to choose like would you rather? We've all played that game, right? Would you rather? And say for example, they'll say, would you rather burn to death or freeze to death? Right? And you got to pick one. So it's like shit. If somebody asked, if you had a choice on how you die, right? And there are 2 options you have is this situation that happened right here, right? Being lost 13,000 feet under the ocean. Nobody can contact you. Nobody knows where you are, and your oxygen levels are like at one day left before you suffocate. Would you rather die that way, or would you die by being lost on a spaceship in outer space with no contact with the Earth? It's like what one of those would you rather choose in that game? It's like shit. I can't speak for you, but in that situation, I think that it's scarier to be lost at the bottom of the ocean than it is to be lost in so-called outer space. Shit, I can't speak for you, but me speaking for myself, that would be my view on that. It seems much more, may I say, scary, right? Much more dreadful, for lack of better words, to die at the bottom of the ocean, by suffocating to death, not having any contact with anyone on the outside world. Seems much more pleasant in this situation to die by being lost in outer space in some type of spacecraft. I mean, shit, that's what I would choose if I was given the option. But anyway, I digress. One thing I wanted to comment on is you have this one dude out there. He goes by the name of Russian Vids, right? His channel name is RV Truth if you want to look him up. And I've known this cat for years. I've been watching this dude since I was like 13 years old, right? So I've been watching this guy for like a good 7 years. But I saw he did a video today. And again, I agree with some of the stuff he says, but then I do disagree with some of the stuff he says. Overall, he's a cool dude, but he clearly goes off with some of the shit that he's saying. So this guy uploaded a video and it was like, trying to expose this whole situation, saying, "Oh, well, this is all a setup, right? It's all a setup that this whole thing." And he didn't really make it clear. I don't know if he's trying to say it's all fake and there's nobody in danger, or if he's saying that, people are really down there, but it was like set up to happen where they get stuck down there. I don't know what the guy's saying because he doesn't make it clear, right? You have to kind of like, read between the lines of what this dude's saying. It seems like. So I just watched this video and I was laughing my ass off because I was thinking it's like, oh shit, this guy. First of all, he's not even clear with what he's saying. And again, don't get me wrong, right? Russian vids, I do respect the man because I've learned much from that individual. However, he's clearly incorrect on certain things that he's saying. And I say that from years of watching this dude. But anyway, this guy brought up about how there's a book out there that was written back in like the what was it, the 1890s? I believe it came out in 1898. It's called The Wreck of the Titan. Which, fun fact, by the way, I actually own this book. I've actually owned this and I've read this book. It's called The Wreck of the Titan, if you want to look it up. And then he was trying to say, oh, well, see, but the submarine that's lost, the name of the submarine is named the Titan. So see, there's some type of conspiracy because they have the same name. It's like, wait a second, though. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Even though they have the same name, it's like you do know the Wreck of the Titan boat. Excuse me, the book is about a boat, right? It's not about a submarine. So he wasn't even clear with that. He was trying to connect it to the craft, not necessarily to the Titanic, which I've seen, certain videos that people done on it, write the book about the wreck of the Titan, and they say, well, it, matches what happened to the Titanic sinking, and it does, right? It does match it. It's just what I would consider to be a what's the word I'm looking for? A coincidence, right? It's a coincidence. They might have very many similarities between them, but it doesn't mean that it's like some type of, hidden information that this was all planned. It doesn't mean that just because there's some similar, you know, um, correlations between the stories. It doesn't mean that it was all planned out. I mean, that's ridiculous to say that. And again, I've read the book. I own the book. I've read it. And I will say there are many parts in it that do correlate between this boat called the Titan and the sinking of the Titanic. There are many instances in the book where the events line up, even though the book was written a few years before the Titanic disaster happened, because the Titanic sank on what was it, April 15th of 1912, where that's when the Titanic sunk. But the Wreck of the Titan book was written in 1898, so it came out before it. And even though they're similar, it doesn't mean that the Titanic was like deliberately sabotage. It doesn't mean that. It was just a random coincidence that happened. They on certain aspects they were similar, but it doesn't mean that it was all planned out. I mean, I find that to be ridiculous. Not everything in the world is some type of massive conspiracy. And why it is true, I will make the clarification. Why it is true, there are certainly events in the world that take place that are um, conspiracies, of course. Right? There are, of course, events in the world that take place that are conspiracies and should be looked into. We shouldn't believe the mainstream narrative, of course. But that doesn't mean that everything that happens, like say, for an example, the situation going on now with this missing submarine, should I believe it's real? I believe that, there really are 5 people trapped at the bottom of the ocean right now that are going to pass away in the next 24 hours if they're not found. I don't find why that's um, I don't find why that is so difficult and so unreasonable to believe. I mean, I don't see how somebody could think of that some type of like deception to try to scare people. It's like, no. Then you had one dumbass in the comment section. Like I was watching some of the news videos today covering the story, and you had this one dumbass in the comment section, and he was saying, "Well, this is a assassination attempt." Because remember, I said there's a rich billionaire on board, right? So this guy was like, "Well, see, this is a assassination attempt to try to kill this rich guy." It's like, okay, so you're telling me that they paid the driver off who drove this submarine down there? It's like you do know he's gonna die too, right? So how much did they pay him off? I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. It's completely laughable. The bullshit that these people believe, man. What's up, LOP? What's up, Matt? LOP said Challenger Deep. Oh man, man, that's a good one, man. He said, what's in the background, man? Oh, I have I got the camera. I put a piece of tape over it because I didn't have nothing to put up there, and I don't have a phone case, so I just put a piece of tape over it for the moment because I don't want to be on camera right now. But anyway, going back to the situation, man, I just have to laugh because it's like, and I'm not laughing at the story, but I'm laughing at the fact that people out here are just so unreasonable and are just not even clear in their own heads as to what they believe, right? Like Russian vids will be like, oh, everything on TV is fake, everything on TV is fake. Well, what about this one time, right, when I was in downtown Easton for the 4th of July, right? They had like a fireworks show there, and there was a shooting that took place, right? It was literally like I'm not even joking around. It was literally like one block up from where I was walking with my family, right? And guess what? The way I found out, because you couldn't tell the difference between the gunshot and fireworks. The way I found out what happened is, we saw people starting to run. So we asked the guy. He's like, "Well, sure. What's everybody run from?" And he said, "Oh man, there's some type of shooting going on down there." So I was like, "Oh shit," So we got out of there. And guess what? Later that night, it was on the TV. It was on the TV. The situation that went down just up the block from where I was running. So is that fake too? Is that some type of like massive hoax to try to scare people too? It's like I was literally there when the event happened. Is that fake too? I mean, am I some type of like paid actor because I said that something on TV is true? It's like, come on, you guys are just completely unreasonable and are just unclear within your own heads as to what you believe. I mean, come on, ridiculous. Another good point. It's like you do know, right? For these guys sitting there saying that all the world events are all staged and they're all fake, right? There's never any type of real acts of violence that take place. It's like, wait a second, you're telling me out of the world of 8 billion humans, out of the world of 8 billion humans, you're telling me that there's never any type of real acts of violence that ever take place? Like, I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, that's not even reasonable to say something like that. And again, I acknowledge that there are certainly many conspiracies, right, and things that are, staged. I can accept that, of course, but it just seems unreasonable to sit there and pretend that everything is some type of like hoax, or everything is fake, especially with these flat Earth guys, right? Especially with these guys on the internet, going around talking about, flat Earth this, flat Earth that. Like say for an example, I was watching this one dude. What's this guy? Flat Earth Dave. YouTube channel is called Dirt, right? Um, and this guy, he goes around and does these streams with people where he tries to convince them that the Earth is flat. Interesting show to listen to, but I laugh sometimes because this guy will sit there and tell you, oh, dinosaurs are fake, nuclear weapons are all fake, all of that is all fake. I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, how do you know that exactly? It's like, how do you yourself know that? You sitting at home just looking up things on the computer all day. It's like, how the hell do you know that these things are all a deception to scare people? It's like, realistically speaking, how the hell do you know that? Just because you watched Eric Dubay videos all day or Mark Sargent videos all day? I mean, come on, completely ridiculous. But these are, the simpletons, or I call them, the simps, right? The peons. These are the peons that we have running around out here, man. These are simps, that we got on the comic boards. So as I said, man, you can't just believe everybody on YouTube who claims that there's some type of truth, or you can't just believe everybody for what they're saying on face value. You got people calling themselves truthers who um, believe that Satan is actually, the true God. So you can't just believe everybody who calls himself a truther is in the know and they know what they're talking about. Right? There's some people who believe that they're truthers, but only about certain topics. Right? Like somebody might be very knowledgeable about one topic, but then on the 5 other topics they clearly know nothing about. Right? They might be studied and well versed when it comes to 1 or 2 topics, but then when you ask them anything else, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like I'll give an example. And I'm not bashing on brother Rich, but that brother got to up his game, man. I've known that guy for like 8 years, 7, 8 years, man. I've known this individual, and you ask him to name 3 verses in the Bible, he couldn't do it, but he knows a lot about like Vatican history and things like that, right, having to do with history of the Catholic Church. And I'll give him credit on that because I don't know much about it, so I'll give him credit, right? I'll listen to what he has to say about it. But as far as the Bible goes, he clearly don't know much about that. Again, I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying, it's like, damn, man, you got to put in some reading time, man. and he collects books, right? He has a collection of like 100 books that he showed me. It's like, damn, man, you gotta, maybe you should read some of them, time to time. It might be helpful for you. Let me just get a drink real quick. All right. LP said, sounds like you're talking about Rich. Yeah, yeah, I am talking about Rich. Again, I'm not hating on that brother, right? He's a cool dude. But I'm just saying, man, it's like, damn, you gotta, you know, do a little bit of reading, man. But anyway, going back to the whole, subs thing, I wanted to mention that RV Truth was on there like, oh, one of the connections that this is all staged is because see, well, the book is called The Wreck of the Titan. But then this submarine that they supposedly lost, of course, speaking from his perspective, um, is named the Titan. So see, they're mocking people that this is all fake. It's like, no. It's like, couldn't it be that the ocean exploration company that created the thing just decided to call it that? I mean, just because it's the same name, it doesn't mean that they have a correlation. I mean, shit. Once again, the book, and I read the book. I own it. The book is about the sinking of a ship called the Titan, not a submarine called the Titan. We can't skip over that part. So the only correlation that he's making is because it's named the same thing, right? It has the same name. It's like, okay, and what does that prove? Like, I'll give you an example, right? Of something that's a coincidence. I mean, shit, I'll give you two examples of something that's a coincidence. The other day, I was at, a local grocery store. I had to pick up a couple things. And, I checked out, grabbed my receipt, and said, have a nice day to the cashier. And, later that day, I was looking over the receipt to make sure I didn't get, overcharged for nothing. And guess what? I look at the bottom and I was like, oh shit, guess what? The name of the cashier is the exact name as myself. Like no joke. He literally has the same name as me. What are the odds that I randomly go to a store and the cashier that checks me out has the exact same name as I do? Definitely rare, right? Definitely rare. It's what you call a coincidence, right? It's just a coincidence that we, so happen to have the same name, and it so happened that, I would shop there while he was on his shift, checking people out at the, cash register. It was just a coincidence that happened. No, nothing deeper than that. Let me give you a more weirder a coincidence. Um, I was born in the early 2000s. I won't, say exact year, but you know, I'm 3 years older than my cousin, but we were born on the exact same day, 3 years apart. Let me say that again so nobody gets confused. Me and my cousin, we were born on the exact same day, but 3 years apart. Right? Isn't that strange? Out of any day of the year that she could have been born, she was born on the exact same day, exact same month that I was born, just 3 years after me. It's like, isn't that weird? But that's just a coincidence, right? It's just a coincidence that so happened to be that way. It's very simple, So going back to the Titanic thing, it's just a coincidence that this submarine that's lost had the same name as this other book. It doesn't prove it's some type of like fakery going on. It just proves that it's just a coincidence. Just something was similar and it just happened to be that. It just so happened that they had a similar name. Just like it so happened that I went to the store and the guy that checked my groceries out had the exact name as me. It's just a coincidence to happen. It's nothing more than that. Same thing with my cousin being born on the exact same day as myself, just 3 years after me. It's just a coincidence, nothing more than that. Okay, let me see the comments. If anybody has any question or whatever, you're welcome to post it there. Hey, what's up? Frazer. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It seems strange, but it's just a coincidence that so happened to happen, right? It doesn't mean that there's some type of like massive, cover up or some type of massive conspiracy that's hiding something. It's just a coincidence. Like I'll give another example. I used to live in a trailer home, right? And the rent on the trailer was $666 per month. And then when they learned, our religious background, that we, believed in the Bible, they dropped it a dollar so it wouldn't be that exact amount. But what are the odds that, we move into a home and, without the person knowing our religious beliefs or whatever, the exact rent that we have to pay for that home was $666. What are the odds? It's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence that it so happened to be that. It doesn't mean that there was any, deep meaning behind it. It was just a coincidence that so happened to be. Very simple. And it's a true story, by the way.